go home. Good, good.
This is Rosa59 here. Today I'm going to show you guys how to make the Hobbit map plaque. And you can also make the Lord of the Rings map plaque. Hope you guys enjoy the video, and don't forget you can download these free plans. So to transfer your image, what you're going to need is a 1/8 inch piece of plywood, using a scrap piece that I cut to the exact size that I would want it to be. And you're also going to need to print out any image, or in this case, if you want to do exactly what I'm doing here, is from the Hobbit map. But you want to take your image, and it has to be a mirrored image in order for this to work, and it only works on a laser printer. It does not work for an inkjet printer. And you're going to need some gel medium that I have here. And for this process, if you didn't want to do it, I did provide in the PDF file, which is free to download, by the way. And you can certainly just print it out regular, and you could certainly crumple it up and fold it, make it all antique, and then just simply use Mod Podge or glue, or just a clear coat from polyurethane or anything like that, or Varthane, and you could just simply stick it on and put a clear coat on, and then kind of like burn the edges and stuff like that to make it antique as well, if you didn't want to go and do all this other work. So let's get started on doing this. So like I said, printed out our image, so we're ready to go, and it's mirrored, and we printed out on a laser printer. And you're going to take your gel medium and just a fine brush. Do not use like a foam brush, because I find the foam brushes really soak in the gel medium. You want to do this a little bit quick, and because stuff tends to dry a little bit fast, and you want to make sure it's nice and even. If you put it on thick into it in that area, and later on when I show you how to remove it, you'll notice that that area was nice and clear. We want to make this antique, so it's very important that you try to put it on nice and evenly, and not too thick, but just so it's nice and covered. And I just kind of go within the direction of the grain. And you want to use a nice brush too. I just went to the dollar store and I found these brushes actually were really, really nice. I like using them for when I paint as well. So, but you don't want too cheap of a brush, because then the bristles will start falling out, and then you'll have all these bristles and stuff like that on as well. Looks all good. My edges are nice. You can always wipe off the edges near the end also when the image is on. You gotta make sure your hands are nice and clean. If they're sticky or anything like that, it's not gonna work too well. So you're gonna take our image, and we just gotta make sure that's the right way and it's mirrored. And we're just gonna go ahead and just kind of corner. This stuff you kind of have to start in one corner and work your way down. Once it sticks, you can't play with it too much. And then you just want to slowly go down, and you want to make sure it's nice and straight. You don't want to create any air bubbles or anything like that either. Now that it's down, I just like to use my hand just very lightly to make sure any of the air bubbles or anything like that. Then I just like to use like a scrape or anything, just nice and kind of thin. And just lightly put pressure. You don't want to put too much pressure, because if you're putting too much pressure, then you're going to squeeze all that stuff out. We just want to make sure it sticks, but we're moving all the air bubbles out. Once you think it all looks nice, I'm going to take a small paper towel here and just wipe off any excess that I have. Just around the corners. And just briefly kind of check. And you will start to see a little bit will start to bubble up. That's just because it's grabbing it. But I do find when it dries, it does go back down. And now we're just going to let it sit overnight, or approximately 8 hours. So now to remove your image, what you're going to do is you're going to add some water. I just use my hand and kind of start in a little area in a corner or so. You just want to let it kind of soak in a little bit.
Now this comes the fun part, and it's a long process. Once it kind of soaks in, you'll start to see the image. And then you just want to slowly take your finger and you want to rub. And as you continually rub, you just want to remove the paper that's underneath here. That's all we're trying to do here. It does take quite a while because you want to make sure. And as some areas start to come off, you'll start to see your image more. Now, and sometimes what can happen if you didn't put enough on, it will start to take off. It'll take little chunks of your image off. But for this process, that looks kind of cool in technique, and you do get that. Sometimes I've done it on a photograph, and I ended up getting too much off. But that's just in time and technique that will take on how much to apply glue. And you'll know, unfortunately, if you didn't add enough glue or anything like that. I'll just try to remove some here so you kind of can see what it looks like. It is hard sometimes when it gets wet because it does, this stuff sticks everywhere. So you want to make sure you do it somewhere where you can easily remove it. So that's kind of what it slowly starts to look like. And as you can see, some areas start to come off here, but that's the whole idea of making this old and antique map. Now that your picture is completed, now you want to take it to a candle. Make sure you are in a very ventilated area because this is doing with burning with a candle, so you want to think about fire and all your safety. And we're just going to go ahead and just light the candle and just start on the edges. Now I've already done most of the area already ahead of time, so I'm just going to go ahead and show you here just a little bit on what to do so I can finish the project here. You just want to hold it slightly near the candle and your hands far away, and you just slowly just want to burn a little bit of the edges just so you can get that burning effect. And you can let it burn just a little bit like this, and once you're happy with it, blow it out. And make sure you've got water nearby also as well, so in case anything happens, you've got water and paper towels here. And then just lightly dab it, just to make sure you've got all the area nicely cooled off. And since I'm finished, you blow out your candle, leave it in the area so it's all nice and smoke-free area. And that's what it should look like when it's all completed. Now that you've removed the charcoal from the back, as that'll happen, you want to make sure you just clean it off. I just used a paper towel and a spray bottle and just plain water and just kind of scrubbed everything off just to make sure I got all the charcoal and the same thing on the back just to kind of get it all nice and cleaned up. You do want to be careful because some of my edges kind of came off, but actually it kind of makes it look more antique more, so I'm really happy with that. So we're going to go ahead and put a stain on it just to fill in some of the areas where it came off. If you like it exactly the way it is, you can just go ahead and put a clear coat on. I'm just going to go add a stain. I'm using Old Masters wiping stain, and the color is Provincial. And I'm just using a paper towel here, and I stirred it nicely well. And I just want to apply just a nice thin coat. If you want to do it darker, you can go ahead and do it darker. Some areas it might go a little bit darker and some areas may not. But this is just to give it more of that old antique color. I'll smooth everything out. And once you're happy with the way that it looks, just go ahead and leave it to dry for 8 hours. It's gonna need a clear coat. I'm just using Varthane floor finish and a satin finish. You don't have to use a floor finish. I just had this left over from a project and I just want to use up my material. And you just need a nice soft bristle brush. And I'm gonna apply 3 coats on this. And now that everything is dry and I like the way that everything is, I'm just going to go ahead and dip it in. And this is water-based, which is kind of nice. But if you want to buy in a spray can and then spray it, you certainly can do that. I'm just going to go ahead and I want to apply 3 coats of this so it's nice and durable. And because of the charcoal on the edges, you want to do the edges last so that if you get any black stuff on your brush, you're not applying it anywhere else. And this stuff just has a milky finish to it because it's water-based, but it does dry clear, so don't worry about that. And then you just want to finish at the end going all one way, just to make sure you're all going the right direction. And now I'm just going to go ahead and just lightly do the edges just so we get all that charcoal that's on there, just put it onto a clear coat so that it kind of blends in better. That way then when you touch it and stuff like that, you don't have anything on your fingers or anything like that. And then once you're happy with it, just go ahead and let it dry. You want to go ahead and print out your template, and then you want to just put it all together. And then once you've got it all together, you want to go ahead and cut your piece of wood out by 17 by 15 inches. And I was going to use 3/4 material, but I ended up using 11 millimeters that I bought at the store because I found that 3/4 maybe a little too thick. Now we're going to take our router, and I have a 3/16 round over bit, and I have it sticking up just a little bit over so that you get that plaque look onto it, so it sticks up a little bit. So for your plaque, what you want to do is you want to do 1 coat of black paint. I did from Behr satin finish, just an interior, and I did on the back first. I did let it dry for 2 hours, and then I went ahead and did 1 coat on the top and let it dry for another 2 hours. And then I just took some black and a metallic kind of paint I bought from Michael's, and then I just poured some in a little container. And then I added my black paint from Behr in the satin finish and kind of mixed up to an old antique kind of finish that I was looking for. Then I just took my brush and went around the corners and kind of gave it this silver antique metallic look. And then I just took a bag and rolled it up kind of sort of in a ball, but so it's loose. And then on the lid of a container that I used, I just put some paint, just kind of dabbed it in. And then you go ahead and just dab it on top, and it'll kind of give you this antique kind of look, but it'll kind of go like all over, so it's not going to be perfect. That's the beauty of the bag, because every time it kind of crumples up different and everything. It'll give you this technique. So some areas might be a little bit more and a little bit less, but it'll give you this really neat antique kind of old look. If you didn't want to do this technique, you certainly could just go ahead and do 2 coats of black and just leave it like that, but I kind of wanted to give like a sword kind of look, that silver kind of color to it, metallic look. And you let everything dry. Just go ahead and put a clear coat over top. And I did the same clear coat I used on the map. And the reason for that is I just want just a little bit protection coated onto that. And now for gluing on the map, I'm going to glue my map at the top. And I am going to use Well Bond glue. And it sticks really tiny thing. I've used it in other craft areas and I really like this glue. So what we're going to do is just go ahead and put our glue on the back. And it doesn't have to be anything pretty or neat. Just in a figure S kind of shape or so. Just do it so it gets all over. And this glue dries clear, so if it does happen to squeeze out in a little bit areas, that's okay. It dries clear. But if not, just wipe off the excess with a little bit of water and that'll work too. So once you've got the glue on, we're just going to go ahead and position it. Make sure you've got your top all lined up in your sides. And once you're happy with everything in the way that you like it, you may have to justify things. The glue does kind of move or anything like that. And I'm just using a 5-pound weight here. And I'm just going to go ahead and let it dry. Alright, now for putting the Hobbit in the letters. You can go to my video of the how to make a film positive or print a film positive, and you can download underneath the prescription the Hobbit or Lord of the Rings font that they use for the movie. So I have that in the link below, you can go check that out. And I just used my Cricut machine to cut it out, and then I used a permanent marker in the gold and put it on like that. If you didn't have that machine, obviously you could just go use the font and print it out the way you like it on your printer. Once it prints out, you can easily cut out each and every letter and go ahead and glue it on. And after I was done that, then I just added my clear coat, one more coat on top, just to seal everything on top and give the letters a sheen look. Just a quick tip on inserting the hooks. I found by either pre-drilling or by using a small screw to get it started and then take the screw out and then go ahead and thread these in. I found it was easier to have something pre-threaded than just trying to start to insert these. And once you have them in position that you're happy with it, you can go ahead and insert the key, and there you go. And just don't forget to also at the very back, I can show you here, is to add just a small little hook on the back so that you can hang it up, or if you just want to display it on a shelf or anything like that, that's fine too. But there you go, you have your own Hobbit plaque.